December 17th, 1942. Southwestern Front, outskirts of Stalingrad. My name is Senior Sergeant Ivan Petrovich Kolesnikov, 29th Guards Rifle Division. The day I'm telling you about began long before sunrise, when the steppe was still dark, but trembled from distant artillery like an animal breathing under the snow. We had held this line for nearly a month. Our dugout, lined with frozen logs, smelled of damp wool, kerosene, and burnt gun oil. My SVT-40 rifle lay across my knees. Frost was already forming along the barrel. Rumors swept the trenches. The encirclement was closing. Operation Uranus was working. But none of us felt victory. Only exhaustion and the metallic taste of cold fear. Historical note: Operation Uranus, launched on November 19, 1942, was the Soviet counteroffensive that encircled the German 6th Army in Stalingrad. By mid-December, the pocket was tightening, but fighting along the perimeter was brutal and constant. Around noon, reconnaissance reported movement in the ravine north of us, probably elements of the German 297th Infantry Division, those poor devils who were trying to break out. Our lieutenant, Pavel Lebedev, walked the trench, tapping helmets, checking magazines. "Boys, they'll come today. They're desperate. Keep your heads down and your rifles clean." I nodded. My fingers were stiff. The cold was a worse enemy than bullets. We heard it before we saw it. The scraping of metal, shouted commands in German, and the chattering cough of an MG-42 warming up. And then they came. Gray coats, white breath pouring from their mouths, some staggering from hunger, but still organized, still disciplined, still deadly. Feuer, Feuer. Their machine gun opened up, stitching the snow in tight lines. Chips of frozen dirt hit my face. I returned fire, aiming low. At this distance, even shaky hands did not miss. Within seconds, the quiet steppe had turned into a screaming cauldron of gunfire. We held the trench, but the first wave was only a test. I remember seeing Corporal Yaroslav's hands shaking as he reloaded his Mosin Nagant. He was a farm boy, had never been more than 20 kilometers from home before the war. "They'll try again, Comrade Sergeant?" "They always do," I answered. An hour later, the second wave hit, this one heavier, supported by mortar fire. German GABW 3481mm mortars walked explosions across our line with terrifying precision. One hit the parapet just meters from me. I felt myself lifted by the shock, my ears ringing. When I opened my eyes, snowflakes were falling, glowing red from burning brush. Yaroslav was gone. Only shreds of his winter coat remained. For the first time that day, I felt nothing. Not fear, not rage. Just cold, numb acceptance. Historical note: German units inside the Stalingrad pocket repeatedly attempted localized breakouts during December 1942, especially when relief attempts under Operation Winter Storm pushed from the outside. Soviet frontline infantry endured relentless mortar fire from German encircled forces. Evening, the temperature dropped to -25°C. Our boots were stiff, our breath frozen into our scarves. At dusk, we were ordered to shift positions. The Germans were pushing again near a small rail embankment. Their relief force, Army Group Dawn, led by Manstein, had advanced closer than anyone expected. We ran across the steppe in a crouch, machine gun bursts chasing us like angry hornets. When we reached the embankment, I saw them, silhouettes moving fast, with determination. Some wore camouflage smocks. These were not starving soldiers. These were the men from LVI Panzer Corps pushing outward. It meant only one thing. They were trying to link up with Paulus inside the city. If they succeeded, the entire encirclement could collapse. Our commander shouted, "Hold! No retreat!" We spread out among the frozen stones, rifles aimed, and at that moment, the sky lit up. A full Soviet artillery battery opened fire from behind us. The shells screamed overhead, exploding in devastating blossoms of orange. The earth shook under my body. I watched through the smoke as German positions disintegrated one by one. Their advance slowed, stopped, then crumbled. The great relief attempt of Operation Winter Storm was dying in front of us. December 24th, 1942. Christmas Eve on the German side. Just another frozen night for us. The fighting had paused, not from mercy, but exhaustion. Even artillery faded into sporadic, distant thumps. I sat alone in the trench, writing a letter with numb fingers. «Маша, считать дни больше не могу. Я жив, но трудно. Здесь даже время замерзло». I didn't finish the letter. Never did. That night, Lieutenant Lebedev sat beside me. He removed a small metal flask, unscrewed the cap, and handed it to me. To those we lost today, and to those we'll lose tomorrow. The liquor burned like fire going down. For a moment, it thawed the cold inside my chest. January 10th, 1943. The sky had cleared. That meant only one thing. The winter offensive was about to begin. At 7:55 a.m., the earth shook. Over 7,000 guns of the Red Army opened fire simultaneously. It was the opening of Operation Ring, the final Soviet assault to collapse the Stalingrad pocket. The air filled with dust, frost, and the thunder of relentless artillery. We advanced behind the barrage, moving through shattered German trenches. I saw men too frozen to resist. Some raised their hands. Some didn't move at all. Inside a destroyed farmhouse, we encountered what remained of a German headquarters. A map lay on a broken table, circles drawn in red pencil, showing how little space the 6th Army still held. Captain Leonov whispered, "It's over for them." But the fight wasn't over for us. Outside, the machine guns barked again. A group of German infantry, maybe 20 men, launched a desperate counterattack. Their officer, tall and thin, waved a Luger and shouted orders until a mortar blast tore into the group. I fired until my rifle clicked empty, steam rising from the barrel. This was no longer a battle. It was a collapse.